Hi, I'm Kirk Lucas, and I'm here at Demo Day, Orange County National, and we're here with Henri Johnson, who has a phenomenal technology for golf professionals, instructors, club fitters, and a fantastic wealth of information for all golfers. Can you tell us about what you have?
Yeah, we've got FlightScope here and two very exciting new products, FlightScope Kudu and Cheetah. And the one is intended for indoor and outdoor use. The one very unique thing is that we don't require any marking of the ball, and we can achieve spin rate accuracies up to 0.5%, within 0.5% of accuracy.
Okay, now let me hold you right there. None of us can hit it within 0.5% accuracy, so you're exceeding all of our talent levels. What we've got is we've got a box that looks about, 17, 19 inches.
Yes.
And what it does is it uses a radar-based technology.
That's right.
To track the golf ball.
Correct.
Now, how would someone use this? Do I need to be 20 feet from it, 10 feet from it? Do I need to hit from the same spot every time? How do we use it here?
All right. The setup is quite simple. In fact, you put the box down, the FlightScope sensor. You can just measure out a couple of yards in front, typically 5 yards.
Okay.
And then you can tee up, and there you go. So you decide on your target line, and then you would start hitting your shots, and you'll find all the data from that.
Right, and we can look at one shot or 10 shots or as many as we want?
Absolutely. There's no limit in terms of how many you want to look at. Normally you need at least, say, 5 shots to get a good average.
Okay. And
some deviations. And after that, it's up to you to hone your swing or stuff like that. So it's definitely for teaching, for self-improvement, and also for fitting. It's marvelous.
Okay, now tell us, what data are we gathering on every shot?
All right. The fact that this is a ball and club tracking device makes it exciting. It means that we can track the club in three dimensions. So we know where the club is in space. We know the speed as it's approaching the ball, not only the speed at strike. And you can see if the person swung smoothly. You can then also track the ball in flight, like the FlightScope Cheetah that we've got right here. Can see the ball for its entire flight until it lands. And typically, if you're interested in very accurate data, that's the way to go, because now you can find carry distances within 1 to 2 yards. And if you are using your clubs to find out what distances you get with particular clubs, that's very useful.
It's a terrific practice tool as well as a data gathering tool. Now, when it measures the golf club in 3 dimensions, is it telling us the path, the club face position, all those things that typically in teaching we're interested in?
Yeah. The one thing that we don't do is we don't tell you the club face angle.
Okay.
We tell you the path that the club went through the ball. You see it before and after the ball, and then you can see how steep you went into the ball. You can see your line of attack, and especially at the strike point, there you can see what path the club was actually traveling. So you can see if the ball was possibly slightly too forward in your stance or slightly too back in your stance, because although your path of the club might be coming from the inside, if you put your ball too far forward, you might be striking it on the way from the outside in.
Right. Now, nextly, when we're using the machine here, and we've got a headwind today,
yes,
is there any way we factor anything for wind conditions, or optimally this is how the best players like to practice, because it magnifies any mistake?
Yes, indeed. Absolutely. With the FlightScope Cheetah, for instance, because we track the ball until it lands, we don't care if it's dark or if the wind blows, if it's raining. You see the ball until it lands.
Fabulous.
And that gives you accurate data for now, and that's what's important.
Also, a cloudy day, I'm not going to lose anything.
Nothing.
In the wind, I'm not losing anything. So this is going to work no matter what the environmental conditions are.
You don't have to mark the ball. You just place the ball logo up, and there you go.
Now, one of the things I thought fascinating about it was the instant feedback. As soon as the ball is struck, we're seeing the data. We're not having to wait. We're not having to, hit a few buttons on the computer to get that data to come. That data is right there.
Yes, that's right. It's all processed for you, and that's the way it should be, because we have to empower the user to use this equipment for his or her benefit. So we have to make it quite user-friendly.
Now, tell me about the different screens and the different ways that you can look on it on the computer once you've gathered your data.
Okay, normally you would start on what we call a normal play mode, which is quite simple. You just get feedback and you can respond to that. And you can typically look at your trajectories. You can look at things like your ball launch angle. the backspin,
right,
the shape of the shot, maybe the club head speed at strike, the ball speed of the club, and things like that. And then you can move on to more advanced features, like for instance comparing clubs, so that you can do a club selection,
right,
and things like that.
Now, a term that I'm hearing a lot with the club fitters and the different people is a ball's peaking at X number of feet or an X number of height.
Yes.
Now, do we get that data as well?
Yes, you see at the apex of your trajectory, we give the feedback of how high it actually reached. So you'd see 40 yards or 51 yards or whatever the case may be at the apex and things like that.
Right. Now, for the data that you've acquired in your expertise in this, give the amateur player out there an idea of which of the factors do they seem to fail at the most, or what's the one factor you see they really need to improve?
Okay, from all the data that we collected, I can say that it's what we call the smash factor. In other words, not getting the ball on the sweet spot of the club is possibly where you lose the most, because trying to swing harder, you lose control in terms of your balance, and then you don't find the sweet spot on the club effectively. And we've seen this even with long drive guys hitting 140 miles an hour club head speed. If you don't get it on the sweet spot, you lose a lot of distance, and most amateurs don't find the sweet spot.
Now, define smash factor. What is the smash factor?
All right, it's a formula for those that have done some mathematics in the past. It's a simple formula where we take the ball speed and we divide that by the club head speed. So it's a ratio, just a number.
Right.
So if you can get anything from 1.4 to 1.5, you're fine. If you're under 1.4, you are not hitting the ball on the sweet spot and you're going to get nowhere.
You're driving your car with a flat tire.
Indeed.
As far as efficiency, what's the best you've seen as far as the smash factor?
All right. Obviously, that the clubs are made to comply to the COR limit, the coefficient of restitution, and you shouldn't normally see anything above 1.5, maybe 1.51. So, on the average tour player that we've measured, they average at about 1.48. And amateurs are way down. I must say, depends on the handicaps, but people are in the 1.2s and 1.3s. It's far off.
So the best players in the world are near that 1.5 mark.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And I think that's under pressure conditions. If they go on a driving range and they don't have to focus on winning a game, I'm sure they can hit it most of the time on the sweet spot.
That's terrific. Well, thanks for your time. Your product's phenomenal, and we're thrilled to have you.
Thank you, Kirk.
You bet. Thanks.
Thanks.